YouTube, what's poppin'? Brand new whip, just nah, she ain't new. She used, but she new to me, so it still count. But what's good, guys? Today I'm gonna be showing you how to install brake pads and rotors on the front and rear of my 2017 Nissan Maxima. I mean, don't mind my wheels; they a little bubbly. I tried to take the cheap route and spray paint them, but it didn't come out too well. But here's a look at everything we got, and I got a little surprise for y'all. Added some color, so stay tuned. Now this kit right here is the Detroit axle drilled and slotted brake rotors and pads kit. It came with everything you need, from the clips to the springs to the brake pads to the grease, dot 3 brake fluid, cleaner, everything. So go ahead and cop that off of Amazon and let's get this thing started. Alright, so the first step is going to be loosening up your lug nuts. Then you could go ahead and jack your car up and place it on jack stands. Once your car is up in the air, go ahead and take off all your lug nuts and remove the wheel. Now that we got the wheel off, just inspect your brakes and just make sure everything looks like it's been operating properly. Now I'll take a 14mm socket and remove these two caliper bolts. Now that you got those removed, go ahead and pull the caliper back and remove these two springs. Be careful because they do tend to pop out and they can be easy to lose. I don't know if y'all heard that, but I just lost one of the springs right there. It's cool. Now just take the caliper and move it up and out of the way. It helps if you got a bungee cord. If not, just place it where I did. I had to play I Spy for a minute, but eventually I found the other spring. Now that we got access to the brake pads, go ahead and pry them off. Sometimes you need a flathead screwdriver to get them off, but mine came off pretty easy. And as you can see, they still have some life on them. Next, go ahead and grab your 22mm socket and remove the two bolts that hold in the caliper bracket. You might need a breaker bar and some extra elbow grease, because these things was on a little tight. Now if you're painting your calipers, you want to take off this plate right here. But a lot of people, sometimes they'll just clean them up and throw it right back on. Here's an extra tip. Remove the brake fluid cap so we don't build up pressure when we compress the piston. Now go ahead and clean up the rubber grommet around the piston and make sure it's seated properly. Now take a C-clamp and compress the piston by placing it in the middle and tightening it down. Just a heads up, air sometimes gets trapped in this rubber grommet, so you just want to make sure you release all that so it doesn't get pinched when you put the brake pads back on. Now this step may not apply to you. I have spacers, so I just have to remove them before we can get access to the brake rotors. Alright, so now everything should be out of the way and the rotors should be able to come off. If not, they're probably rusted on, so you want to smack it a couple times. For this next step, I'm just cleaning up the parts that I'm going to be painting. Some people prefer to take the caliper off the car completely. I just chose to mask off the area and leave it on. And I put my other part in the box so I don't get spray everywhere. And after a few coats, this is what we looking like. Red's popping real nice. So now our parts are drying and it's time to start reassembling everything. Got a brand new rotor right here. we got our other caliper piece over there. Now this is just an extra step I like to take. I put anti-seize lubricant around the hub right here to prevent my rotor from getting stuck in the future. Then go ahead and clean your new rotor. Now this is a tip I just picked up over the years. Go ahead and place your rotor on and put one lug nut to hold it in place. Now once you got both sides of the rotor cleaned up, go ahead and grab the caliper bracket and put those two bolts back in with the 22mm socket. Now we can go ahead and grab our plates for the caliper bracket and snap those in on the top and the bottom. Now brake pads usually come with an alert mechanism already installed, but with this kit you got to take this piece and install it yourself. Then go ahead and grab your brake pads, grease them up, and pop them right into place. Now you can go ahead and replace one of the caliper bolts and lift up the caliper. Then go ahead and grab your spring and position it into place. Now you want to hold the brake pads together or else the spring is just going to pop out, and then go ahead and put your other one in. Now that both springs are in place, go ahead and lower your caliper right back down into place. And tighten your two caliper bolts. Moving on to the rear, everything is about the same process as the front, there's just no springs. So go ahead and grab your 14mm and remove the two caliper bolts. Another difference you'll notice is that these ones are actually slide pins, so pay attention to which one goes where. The top has a little rubber grommet on the end. Now go ahead and take your caliper off and remove the brake pads. And once again, mine had plenty of life, but I brought the kit, so I'm going to use everything in it. Like I said before, these other two caliper bolts are a pain in the ass to get off, so I went ahead and made my little rig and got them off any way I could. Now that the bracket's off, go ahead and pop these plates off and clean up the bracket. And now once again, your rotor should come right off. If not, take a hammer and whack that thing. Now I have no idea what this rubber piece is, but go ahead and pop it out and put it onto your new rotor. Next it's time to prep everything for paint. Now everything's painted and it dried up. It's time for reassembly. So go ahead and grab your anti-seize, throw it on the hub, clean your brake rotor, smack that on, and then grab your two brake caliper bracket bolts and put them back in. And to make sure I got them real tight, I did the same process I used to take them off. Now here I'm just replacing these rubber grommets that I took off to paint my caliper bracket. All you want to do is just pop those back on and make sure they're seated properly. Then go ahead and take your plates, pop them in top and bottom. And then throw in your new brake pads, and you can match them up with the old ones to make sure you're putting them in the right places, because as you can see, it has an alert that tells you when your brakes are low. Now that the pads are greased up and put into place, go ahead and pop your caliper back on and tighten down the two caliper bolts. Whoa, make sure you don't forget to put this cap back on. You can't be driving around with that off, bugging. And there you have it. Congratulations, you just finished the job. Now when you get back in the car, you're going to have to pump your brakes because they're going to be real loose. But then after that, just test them out, take a drive, wear your brakes in. They might smoke and smell for a little bit, but that's normal. It'll go away as you wear them down. Now, if y'all found this video helpful, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I got more videos coming for y'all soon, so stay tuned. Adios.